Hey there. What you're about to watch is a interview with one of my clients. She wasn't ovulating regularly, so she had PCOS, hypothyroidism. She thought she was gonna definitely have to do IVF to start her family. She really desperately wanted to have a baby. And they're working together. We were able to help her resume regular ovulation and improve her thyroid function and ultimately get pregnant. So excited to sit down with Molly, and I hope you enjoy. Hey, Molly, how are you
Hey,
doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Thank you for taking some time to chat with me. I met Molly about 6 months ago. This was one question I didn't prep you for, but like, can you tell everybody a little bit about yourself? Just like your work, your relationship status.
Yes. Um, I'm 34 and I just got married. Um, and I'm actually a social worker and I have a master's in public health as well. And I studied maternal and child health.
Very cool. Awesome. Well, congrats on your wedding.
Thank you.
Your marriage. So let's just jump right in. We met like last October or something like that. So looking back, what led you to booking a call with me? How were you feeling? What was going on?
I've been trying to get pregnant for a year and a half. Um, and about last May, I was already going to a fertility specialist. And they told me that the only way I could get pregnant was if I went through IVF. I have Hashimoto's and PCOS, and the fertility specialist said to me, even IUI probably isn't going to work for you, and IVF is your only option. Um, my insurance doesn't cover IVF, and I knew that was going to be at least $20,000 out of pocket for each round, given that it actually does work. So I was pretty devastated. And I had been doing a lot of research on my phone, and things started popping up on my Instagram about um, fertility coaches, hormone coaches, people getting pregnant with and without IVF. And so I believe your page popped up for me. Um, and I started following you. I also followed other accounts and I did speak to other fertility coaches um, and was quoted prices that I just couldn't afford. But I continued following people to gather more information. I kind of became obsessed with this and wanted to intake all the information I could on conceiving naturally without IVF. I kind of put off the idea of going through IVF because I just couldn't conceive of a way that I could pay for it. I did start applying for jobs where I knew the insurance did pay for IVF, and I know that in some states, IVF is covered under health insurance, but it's not required in my state. So I was even looking for jobs in different cities and different states.
Yeah.
I was desperate.
So you weren't like having a regular period at all.
I was diagnosed with PCOS about 4 years ago, and my OBGYN immediately put me on birth control to regulate my cycle. I'd always kind of had irregular cycles. I was diagnosed with PCOS because I was getting a cycle that was lasting for weeks. And my OBGYN put me on birth control to regulate my cycle. I decided to come off of it about 2.5 years ago, and my cycle wasn't regular when I came off of it. I was having a lot of spotting, like just continuous spotting for weeks at a time. After I'd been trying to conceive for a while, I mean, I've never been pregnant before in my life. I was wondering if I was ovulating, but I didn't have enough education or tools to determine if I was ovulating or not.
Thank you. Thanks for explaining that and kind of giving us a bigger history. So, you mentioned like feeling desperate. Like how was that affecting you emotionally, like in your life, in your relationships?
When the IVF specialist told me that I would have to go through IVF, I was traumatized. I was always on the verge of tears. This was all I could think about. I was constantly worried, Googling what could I do to improve my ovulation and my fertility. It affected all my relationships with everyone around me. I was really depressed. I felt very unhealthy. I felt like my body was working against me. I also had brain fog. I was tired all the time. I just felt drained, and I was dealing with other GI issues and also the constant spotting. I was just really scared.
All right. Well, how are you feeling now? What's the update? Fast forward to today.
I'm pregnant, and I'll be 16 weeks on Monday.
Yes.
And I never thought I was at the point where I didn't think this could ever happen for me naturally. I was tracking my cycle and I knew what day in my cycle I was, and I could have taken a pregnancy test earlier, but I just didn't even believe it was possible for me that I could get pregnant. And the day I decided to take a pregnancy test, I was just thinking, I might as well take a pregnancy test just so I could tell the doctor that I still wasn't pregnant and but I hadn't gotten my period and something else was wrong, so I wanted to look into whatever hormone issue I was having. And I was surprised to see that my pregnancy test was positive for the first time in my life.
Yeah. Yeah, you were just like, "Oh, something else. What's wrong? What else is wrong?" Like you
Right.
had this mentality of like, I just need to move on to the next like solution and it has to
Exactly.
get solved.
Actually, a week before I found out I was pregnant, I was at the OBGYN and he was telling me my next step was to do endoscopic surgery to determine if I had endometriosis. And I was already ready to pay the deposit on that surgery when I found out I was pregnant.
Wow, that's awesome. So, how are you feeling? What does that mean to you? Now that you're
Um, this is the best thing that could ever happen to me. And I feel like all my problems have been resolved. I've never been happier. I've wanted a baby my whole life, and it's taken me 34 years to get pregnant. But now I trust my body, and I know that it can continue to happen for me naturally because of what Kate taught me.
Oh, I'm so happy for you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much um for trusting me, for trusting yourself, and I mean, you did the work. You did the heavy lifting, you know? So, what was that process like for you? What were some of the main things that you feel like restored your fertility?
First, you taught me how to track my cycle and track my body temperature. That was key. Um, I learned about how to get my cycle regular through nutrition. You taught me a lot about nutrition that I wouldn't have learned these things anywhere else. I watched all of the lessons that you sent. I was really interested in those, and I couldn't wait for you to send the next one because I just wanted to absorb all the information I could about hormone health and fertility. I got rid of all toxins and endocrine disruptors in my apartment, and I started using a water filter. I changed the order in which I ate food. Um, I emphasized eating protein at every meal. I started drinking my coffee after my meals. I reduced my caffeine intake drastically, and I stopped eating seed oils. So I'm avoiding a lot of toxic ingredients in my food and just being careful about everything I eat.
Awesome. Yeah. And then we used some data to create like a custom supplement protocol.
Yes,
Um,
I'm taking a lot of supplements as well.
yeah, that sounds like a lot. Like, how is it now? I know like at the beginning it was kind of felt like a lot to keep track of. Like, did it get easier?
I was at the
Is
point
it?
where I was willing to do anything I needed to do to be able to get pregnant.
Yeah.
So, taking some supplements and overhauling my diet, which has actually made me a lot healthier. I now don't have any symptoms of Crohn's disease, was worth it. And that's how I hope to feed my children in the future in a healthy way. So even if it was hard to change things at first, it was completely worth it, and it'll be worth it for my future and my health and my family's health.
Yeah.
And it really wasn't that much in especially compared to what I would have to do with IVF. Also, my thyroid became in range.
Yeah. You did awesome. Oh, I was gonna say, like, on your first trimester, like you're past that first trimester, you've had your ultrasound, like or maybe not your ultrasound, but things are looking good. And like you were like worried that you weren't pregnant because like you didn't have like the horrible symptoms.
Yes, I had almost zero symptoms my entire first trimester. I never threw up. I was barely nauseous. And I think that is attributed to being healthy prior to getting pregnant.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing that. Is there anything else you want to share about what this means to you before we wrap up?
This isn't just huge for me, this is huge for my entire family who's now getting a baby out of this. And this is going to change the entire course of my life because now I'm able to have the baby I've always wanted.
Yeah. Congrats.
Thank
That's
you.
that's so exciting. It's really life changing.
Yes.
So, was there anything that almost kept you from working with me? Any reason you almost didn't do it?
So I did reach out to a lot of other hormone coaches and fertility coaches, and a lot of them were completely out of my price range. There was one fertility coach that was charging $1,200 a month, and I never would have been able to afford that. I was thinking, if I can't afford to pay someone, I'm never going to get pregnant. And you really worked with me on the price, and for that, I'm forever grateful. You also were very confident in what you were saying, and you said to me, "You'll be able to get pregnant within 3 to 4 months." I'd never had anyone say that to me. And you were so sure of that. And that really did happen. The month before I got pregnant, I sent you my chart, and you said this looked exactly like your sister in law's chart, and she got pregnant the next month. And that actually happened to me too. So you were confident in me the whole time that I could get pregnant.
Yeah. Awesome. I'm so happy that we were able to work it out and make it possible for you.
Thank you so much. I owe you a lot.
Oh, well, this testimonial video is all the payment I need, right? So last question is like, would you recommend other women work with me? And if so, why?
Yes, I would recommend other women work with you for a multitude of reasons. Whether you can't get pregnant, having cycles issues, thyroid issues, hormone issues, you're very knowledgeable. Your videos concentrate on not just physical aspects of health, but emotional and stages of change. Um, you also emphasize trusting your body, feeling calm and rested. And I think those were aspects that were crucial. You're very knowledgeable and confident in what you know. Kate helped me trust the process.
Yeah, wonderful. Well, thank you so much for getting on to chat with me and share your story. And I'm sure many women are inspired and like can see themselves, in your shoes, that desperate feeling and that feeling of like I'm gonna have to spend at least $20,000. And, often IVF doesn't work the first round. And so, um, just when you weigh the costs and the benefits, like one being the benefit of being healthy the rest of your life, and knowing that like it's not going to be this huge financial burden every time you want to get pregnant, and that you actually just have that like confidence in your body. That's huge. So, um yeah, that's all I have to say, but thank you so much, Molly, for getting on today. Okay,
Thank you so much.
we'll talk to you later.
Okay, bye.